Welcome back to the Caribou Data Science channel. Today is October 20, Wednesday, October 28th, 2020. And I'm getting ready to run my data report for the U.S. So let's take a look at the summary numbers here. The average number of cases per day is 31,133. The average number of deaths is 929 deaths per day. The current mortality rate is 3.3%. Let's take a look at that rate right here. This is the average mortality rate per day. So that's about 3.3%. Okay. What I want you to look at is all these days where the mortality rate was lower than the average. That's extremely good news. And here it's actually declining. Now we can of course look at the daily cases, and this should come as no surprise that these are continuing to trend upward. The blue line, as you may recall, is the incubation period, is 17 to 21-day incubation period. That figure comes from the Washington University Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation. So that means everything to the left of that line should have already been taken into account as far as deaths. But yet we didn't see a massive spike in deaths here. Now if we look at deaths, you can see this is a spike. Remember, the liberal media likes to talk about, oh, well, this is the biggest single day in cases since April. Well, yeah, but this is still the biggest day for deaths, single day deaths. And from that point on, it's been all downhill. Even if we use the lowest line as sort of the average line, it's still below this line. Now it remains to be seen what's exactly going on here, but this right here is 500. So you can see that the number of cases per day are averaging below uh, 500. Okay, now let's zoom in on to June on the number here, and you can see, like I say, we should have already seen the deaths associated with this spike right here. This is a current spike where we should be looking at. Deaths, as you can see, there is a slight uptick to above 500, but it's still well below the average. It's still well below this and below the spike up here. Okay. If we take a look at cases by week, you can see this is still the problem. Cases by week are still above the average cases per week red line here. But on the flip side, the good news is that you can see this is the average number of cases or deaths per day by week. This is the average number of deaths per week in the U.S. Look at all these weeks when the average deaths per week was less than the average, and even this here isn't that big of a spike above the average. We haven't come close to any of these numbers back over here yet as far as deaths for the last few weeks. Okay, if we look at monthly cases, you can see that October has passed September and even August's case numbers, which is not a surprise. But it certainly looks like October's deaths are going to be less than uh, August deaths. So it's August, September. Okay, so what we look for here is, so the main thing is, look, deaths are still below. Not only are deaths below August, they're below July. Okay, so we can see. So the good news is this: cases and deaths are continue to stay low, lower than the average, lower than the peak. And deaths, well, deaths are still going to continue to spike, but it doesn't seem to be rolled over into deaths. So we can just ignore those two plots; those are there just for the fun of it. So anyway, like I said, the good news is deaths are either declining or holding steady, which means that the sacrifices you and me are making is having a difference. Okay. So anyway, well, thanks so much for your time, and we'll catch you on the next on we'll catch you on the next report.